Hey everybody, it's the Ioniq guy. Today's a big day. Taking my first road trip in the Ioniq 5. So if you're interested in a 1,000-mile road trip, stay tuned. So, the day has finally come. I'm heading down to Richmond, Virginia. Be stopping to drop off my girlfriend in Washington, D.C. so that she can see her friend. And then I'm continuing down to visit my friend. So, a little stressed out, a little excited, a little bit of everything. Been running around this morning, getting the car packed up. Got some snacks, some energy drinks all loaded up here. I've got my EVSC, my V2L adapter, everything I might need in case of an emergency. So it's going to be about 465, 470 miles down there, depending on traffic, accidents, construction, which way Waze routes me, or Google Maps for that matter. So this trip is going to really be a test bed for all future long-distance drives for me. I really want to test out a better route planner. I paid for the premium subscription this month, which is $5. And the reason I did that is I wanted to be able to connect my OBD2 scanner to the car and then have that feed information directly into a better route planner to see exactly how that function works. I haven't really looked into it. I synced it with a better route planner. Now I am a little worried. Right now there's a cold front coming in. It's horrifyingly hot and humid. Right now it's 95 degrees as I sit in the car, and the humidity is high, like 60% at least. So it feels over 100. The air conditioning was struggling when I powered the car on to precondition it in here. So it's hot, and I'm interested to see what that's going to do for efficiency, if that's going to stunt my charging speeds as I get to charging stations. I will be charging up hopefully only 2 times, possibly 3. I'll be taking the Merritt Parkway through southern Connecticut, which is a relatively slow highway compared to other major interstates. The speed limit's 55. People usually do 60, 65. So I'm thinking down into New Jersey, Philadelphia area, my efficiency should be fairly high because it's mostly going down in elevation, and it'll also be at relatively slow speeds, around 55, 60, 65. But if it starts raining and thunderstorming, that could really throw off my efficiency because rain, wind gusts aren't good for efficiency of electric cars. Hopefully traffic and construction are on my side. I don't really know if they will be. So I've decided on this trip I'm going to disconnect my Motorola MA1 and plug in for Android Auto because I don't want any instances of losing navigation in places that I'm not familiar with. I don't want to take that risk. I've had that happen in the past, and it's just added stress that you don't need. So I'm not going to talk to you guys while I'm driving, but I am going to do some updates as I get to Electrify America stations, show you guys charging speeds. We'll see if I get hot gated since it's extremely warm out. I have a feeling that it's probably going to charge pretty slow in comparison to 75-degree days, especially because if I'm sitting in the car, I'm going to have the AC on. I am not going to be sitting in this car with the AC off to direct all that cooling to the battery. But maybe we'll go into a Walmart or a Target while that's happening. So I'm going to be hitting the road here about 2 o'clock. Hopefully I don't hit any horrible traffic in New York City. So I'll check back in with you in a few hours, maybe in Delaware, but at the very least in New Jersey. But I'll see you guys soon. Wish me luck. Hey everybody. So I'm in Wilmington, Delaware. I made it to my long haul destination that I didn't think I was going to make it to. Drive's been really good so far. I just plugged in at 8%. Right now I'm pulling 220 kilowatts. Says 22 minutes to 80%. It's still 93 degrees out, so the battery might be a little warm for doing this in 18 minutes, but I'm going to fill up as much as I can and then hit the road on our way down to Washington, D.C., and then charging up again sometime down in Virginia. So something that was extremely annoying was when I was preconditioning the car before I left, when the car was plugged in, it would blow hot air out of the vents. It was like the compressor wasn't going at all. And the second I unplugged it, the compressor would kick on and cold air would start blowing out of the vents. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to reach out to Hyundai on this one because this one makes zero sense to me. It was very frustrating. I wanted the cabin to be nice and cool, not use any energy before I left the house. Not that it really matters. I made it to my destination with 8% left, so either way, I'm pretty happy. So I averaged 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, did 250 miles, took 5 hours and 16 minutes, and yeah, plugged in an EA here at Wawa, no issues whatsoever. App connected, no problem. Started charging in about 30 seconds. So I'm very happy right now. This trip is going great so far. But yeah, I'm going to eat a little bit, go to the bathroom, hopefully come back and the charge will be done. I'll see you guys in Virginia. Hey everybody. So I'm here at the Electrify America station in Richmond, Virginia. Only my second charging session of this whole trip. I could have made it to my destination, just barely, but I wanted to have enough charge to be able to drive around over the next couple of days and not have to step away from hanging out with my friends to charge. So here I am. I'm about 10 minutes from my destination. Got here with about 6% battery left, showing about 10 miles of range left or so. But I just plugged in, started up immediately. I'm pulling 220 kilowatts right now. It says 21 minutes to 80%. And something I've noticed on this trip, heat definitely plays into your charging speed. So if you got a hot battery, it was in the low hundreds today, you're going to have a slower than 18-minute charging session, which isn't a big deal. I've found on my first road trip that stopping for 20, 30 minutes twice over a 10-hour period is perfect amount for me. Get out, stretch my legs. Just been snacking a lot the whole drive down. We had a giant box of Cheez-Its and pretty much totaled that. But there's nobody else here except Chevy Bolt. He's charging on 150 kilowatt. It's nice charging late at night. You don't have to worry about anybody being at the stations. They're pretty much completely empty. So I like that. So since my last stop, I've driven 212.5 miles, averaged 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, and total drive time 4 hours and 13 minutes. 212 miles from, I think I charged up to 84%, so 84% down to 6%, so I used 79% of the battery and I did 212 miles. That's damn good. I am so impressed with this car. It just never ceases to amaze me. Highway Drive Assist 2 coming down here was awesome. Alleviated so much tension from just having to really grip the wheel and follow the lane markings. So that definitely helped with the amount of work I was putting in on the drive. So I liked Highway Drive Assist 2. But yeah, all in all, good experience. I'm going to go have some fun with my friends this weekend, and I'll catch you guys back on my trip back up north. I'll see you then. Morning, everybody. It's about 5. No, it's not. Are you not going to be able to handle this?
I don't think I can handle it.
I'm going to talk normally.
Okay. Just go. I'm just closing my eyes. Just don't look at me.
Morning, everybody. It's about 6 a.m. here in Richmond.
I couldn't get out of the car.
Okay, you do that.
I can't.
Morning, everybody. It's about 6 a.m. here in Richmond, Virginia. We're going to be hitting the road, heading back north through Washington, D.C. I'm going to pick up my girlfriend. That's about 109 miles away. And I don't think I'm going to make it back to Wilmington since I'm not at a 100% state of charge. I'm at 80%, showing 218 miles. Wilmington is 213 miles, so that's a little close for comfort, so I'm not going to try and get to Wilmington. Probably be stopping in Abingdon, Maryland, which is about 160-something miles, so that'll probably be our first stop on the journey today. We're leaving early. Hopefully we'll beat some traffic. There should be no construction today on Sunday, and hoping to make better time than Friday. It was almost an 11-hour drive on Friday, so that was pretty long. But I'll check in with you guys when I get to the first EA station, and we'll touch base then. Hey, everybody. So I'm here in Maryland now, Abingdon, Maryland. We just did 188.3 miles, averaged 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour going through the DC metro area, 3 hours and 37 minutes. And right now I just pulled up, the stations here completely empty. Was just pulling 230 kW and 10 more minutes to 80%. Been here for about 7 or 8 minutes. So another great charging session. Had a great weekend. Just went inside, did my business, got some beef jerky. But yeah, charging has been great on this trip. I have no complaints. Electrify America has worked perfectly the whole time. No issues whatsoever. Plug in, click on the stall, swipe the charge, starts immediately. So let me take a look at where we're going next. We'll probably be charging somewhere in New Jersey, possibly southern Connecticut as our next charging stop, but should only be one more, and then we'll be back home in Connecticut. So gonna keep at it, and I'll see you guys later. Hey everybody, last charging session. I'm here in East Brunswick, New Jersey. Got another 350 kW charger, pulling 150 kilowatts at 53%. Now when I arrived here, I had about a 40% state of charge, just because this is one of the last locations before I get into New York City that I want to stop and charge at. But from this point on, it's about 160 miles back to the house, so this will be the last stop. Be home hopefully in the next 2.5, 3 hours. So the last leg was 136.5 miles, averaging 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, 2 hours and 21 minutes. And oddly enough, I had completely forgotten to turn the car into eco mode, so that was all in normal mode. So normal mode, as far as I can tell, is just about as efficient on a long highway drive as eco mode. At least on this trip, it's pretty damn hot. It's 98 degrees right now, so not ideal conditions, but I'm still doing pretty good in terms of efficiency. I'll see you guys back in Connecticut, and then we'll have a deep dive into the trip. See ya. So if you're anything like me, you were probably disappointed after you purchased your Hyundai Ioniq 5 and realized that there was no overhead storage for your sunglasses. So I solved that problem with the Hyundai Ioniq 5 magnetic eyewear holder. It simply clips onto the magnetic area next to the driver display, and your sunglasses go right onto it. These are 3D printed in PETG and will not soften in the heat of your car. They utilize a 1 1/4 inch rare earth magnet that keeps them securely on your dashboard, and a strip of Velcro protects the frames of your glasses. These will work well with thick plastic frame glasses, such as Ray-Ban Wayfarers, but not so much with wireframe glasses like aviators. These are available for $20 plus shipping at the link below in white or black. Thanks for checking them out. Hey everybody. So, as you can tell, I'm back at home. Just finished the trip up about an hour ago. Today was a long day. It was 11 hours of total travel time. We did stop and have a brief lunch and had to use the restroom a few times outside of being at EA stations and running into the Walmarts to go use their restrooms. It was a great trip. For my first real road trip in an EV, I'm beyond thrilled. This is the road trip EV right now. It rides so smooth, charges so quick. I mean, I would stop at an EA station, plug in, I would record my little clip, run into the bathroom, do my business, have a little snack, have a quick drink, and by the time I was ready to go, the car was ready to go. This car completely eliminates any range anxiety for me whatsoever. So I started looking at the numbers. I took photos of all my trips and everything. Over the entire 960-mile trip, I averaged 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. And oddly enough, when I left Richmond, Virginia this morning, I forgot to put the car in eco mode. So from Richmond to, I'd say, halfway into New Jersey, which is where I did my second charging stop, which is when I noticed, I was in normal mode. And I think this just goes to show that over long distances, the difference between eco mode and normal mode probably cancel each other out pretty good. So from central New Jersey to home, I had the car in eco mode. So a few things of note along the trip. The first one was this heat was just awful this weekend. The heat was awful. Most of the drive down, most of the drive back, temperature read, at least when the sun was out, the temperature read 98 degrees or higher. I saw it peak at about 101 degrees on the New Jersey Turnpike. And that kind of showed itself when DC fast charging. So my first DC fast charging in Newcastle, Delaware, I arrived with 8% state of charge and I ended up going to 84%. Total energy delivered was 63 kilowatt hours. Charging session lasted 25 minutes and 6 seconds. Now, the reason it was that long, when I hit about, I want to say it was 73 or 74%, my charging rate dropped from 120 to 150, I can't remember exactly, down to 30 kilowatts. And it sat there for at least 3, 4, 5%, close to 80%. And then it kind of ticked back up a little bit. And then at 83%, it dropped back down again. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to stop this now. So that was a little disappointing, but I think it has to be attributed to the fact that the battery was just overheating. I had my OBD2 scanner plugged in, and I'm pretty sure max cell temp on the battery was approaching 130 degrees at that point, and that's probably not a good place for the battery to be at. So they just said, okay, we're cranking the rate way down to protect the battery. So I almost made it to Richmond on one 100% charge and one 84% charge, but unfortunately I did have to charge at 5% on the outskirts of Richmond. So I arrived with 5% and I ended up charging to 83%. Total energy delivered was 62 kilowatt hours. Total session time was 25 minutes, 32 seconds. And again, the same thing that happened in Delaware happened again. And even though it was nighttime and it was still cooling off, I think the battery was just still so saturated with heat from the day and all the driving I was doing that it just couldn't cool itself off. So again, when it was in the 70% range, it dropped down to 30 kilowatts, sat there for a few percentage points, then it kicked back up a little bit, and then it dropped off again around 83%, and again, that's when I just left. But during these two first charging sessions on the way down to Richmond, I did see the car max out at about 235, 240 kilowatts, so that was nice to see. So today's first stop in Abingdon, Maryland, I arrived with 13% state of charge, and I ended up with 90% at the end of my session. Again, total energy delivered was 62 kilowatt hours, which is similar to the last two. And this session lasted 26 minutes, 46 seconds. Total energy delivered 62 kilowatt hours. I was the only person at this EA station, which was a nice change because a lot of the time now I'm not the only one there. There's just always so many cars at all the ones around here. So I did charge to 90% here because I thought that I was going to make it to southern Connecticut, to the Stamford charging station where I could fill up just enough to get home. But then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to play it safe, and I wanted to see the charging station in Edison, New Jersey, at the Walmart there. So this charging session, just like the last one, 62 kilowatt hours delivered. Total charging time was 26 minutes, 46 seconds, and yeah, no issues with this charging session. Everything was smooth sailing. And my final charging session today was in East Brunswick, New Jersey. I arrived with 42% state of charge because I wasn't anticipating stopping at this one, so I arrived with a fairly full battery and plugged in, delivered 38 kilowatt hours up to 87%. Total session time, 16 minutes, 58 seconds. And so even though I showed up with a 42% battery, it spent most of the time at this session at about 155 kilowatts. That was really good. The heat today was just as bad, if not as worse, as Thursday's trip down was. So I was kind of surprised that I didn't see the same drop to 30 kilowatt hours that I saw on Thursday. So after the second charging session today, I got onto the New Jersey Turnpike, and I felt something weird that I hadn't felt the car do before. The steering wheel had just a slight vibration to it, and I could tell that the compressor was working really hard. So I've never experienced this after unplugging from an EA station. My best guess is that the car was just trying to cool down the battery again. And the compressor was just working hard and it was inducing some vibration into the steering column. But it was kind of weird. I even commented to my passengers about it. I hadn't experienced that before. So that was kind of weird. Also, this afternoon, when I got onto the Merritt Parkway in southern Connecticut, the Highway Drive Assist 2 wasn't recognizing the car in front of it. There were at least 4 or 5 times where I had the system engaged, traffic cleared in front of me, and the car resumed its set speed up to the car in front of it, but it didn't recognize it. And I'm approaching the car at a pretty good clip, and all of a sudden I'm just like, is this thing going to pick it up? Why isn't it picking up? And I had to slam on my brakes at least 3 or 4 times because it just was not sensing that car. So I canceled, restarted, then it would sense it, then it would lose it again. And after this happened a few times, I said, screw it, I'm turning Highway Drive Assist 2 off. I wasn't sure if something was blocking the sensor in the front. When I got home, I checked. There's no massive amount of bug splatter on the front sensor portion of the grille, so I can't say that it was interruptions from bugs. But it was a little startling. I wasn't expecting that to happen because it's been so good for the last 7, almost 8 months now. My passengers loved the trip. My friend that was in the back seat, she said that the back was really comfortable. I was comfortable the whole time. I did the entire 11-hour drive today and the 11-hour drive down, so I've done 22 hours in the seat over the last weekend. And the side bolsters are bugging me a little bit after being in them for 22 hours, just because they're a little tighter than other cars. So for most of the trip, when Highway Drive Assist 2 was actually working properly, it was really nice. It just made driving in traffic so much more pleasant. There were times when I was just sitting in traffic, letting it do its thing, and I ate a sandwich. And that was so great because I didn't have to stop and pull over and not continue moving towards my destination. I could just set it, keep my eyes on the road, but I was eating a sandwich. We were crawling along at a pretty slow clip, so it wasn't going to do anything too crazy. So some thoughts on a better route planner. I am not a fan. I wish I didn't pay the $5 for the premium. Here in the 95 corridor, there are so many Electrify America stations that most of the furthest distance apart I could find was 50 or 60 miles. So all I did was I just drove, and as I watched my range go down, I opened up the Electrify America app and I just looked around and saw what stations were coming up, and I just planned my route that way. A better route planner kept crashing on me. It kept telling me to go to really dumb chargers that were not on the route, that were adding 30, 40 minutes when there's just a plethora of charging stations on the 95 corridor all the way down to Richmond. I was just really confused about their overall programming of the app, and I spent days tuning the settings to what I thought they should be, and they just didn't help. So I am not going to recommend a better route planner. I can't say that it did me any good. I turned it off after about 6 hours of driving just because it was completely useless. And I've read some of your comments on my road trip posts over the last few days, and some of you seem to think similarly to me that a better route planner actually sucks. And yeah, I'm going to say it. It sucks. Maybe in other countries it's better. Maybe in other parts of the US it's better. But for me, it made no sense. I had it plugged into the OBD2 scanner. It was getting live data, and even still, just wasn't doing it for me. So that's my suggestion. If you're going to road trip, just use the Electrify America app. It works really well. You can see what stations are available, how many stations are up and running. If a station's in use, it'll say in use. If it's broken, it'll say unavailable. So I tried to frequent the stations that had 8 or more stalls just to be on the safe side, and The most I ever saw at a station was 4 cars, and that was today in New Jersey. There were 2 other Ioniq 5s and a couple of Polestar 2s. So yeah, no better route planner for me. Not going to use it again in the future. I'm just going to roll with the EA app. But for any of my viewers that are really on the fence about getting this car because they're afraid of road tripping in it, don't be. I can't think of a better first road trip experience in an EV than this. Charging was effortless. The Electrify America app works great. But that's pretty much it. It was a good trip. I had a great time with my friends. It was nice to go down to Richmond. I've never been down there before. It's a really cool city. And I was just happy to be doing it in this car. Free Electrify America for 3 years for me because I was a reservation holder, 2 years for everybody else. I mean, you can't beat it. So yeah, go out and road trip in this car because it's a blast. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'll see you in the next one. I've got a few videos coming out in the next week or so. So stay tuned for more. Take care, everybody.